Hey, what's going on, guys? Welcome to CCxRC. Today we're going to be talking about my Furitek Scythe that is basically a Mofo RC upgraded SCX24 in the Furitek Scythe chassis. We didn't do it the traditional way with the Komodo motor that this is built really to hold. So we did the Torque Beast, and we'll talk about some of the complications and problems I came into in doing that, and the solutions that I found that work so far. And I took it to the course yesterday. We'll talk about a little bit of the running, and I think it's pretty awesome, guys. I love the way it looks, and I think some of the changes I made actually maybe helped with performance a little bit by getting some of the weight, like the battery, up to the front. I don't know. You guys let me know what you think. But let's talk about what we did here, guys.
No problem. We'll catch you over there. Yep, see you there.
All right, in keeping with the raw nature of this build, doing it here in my basement office because I was just down here a lot with the winter. I thought we'd just wrap up the video here. First off, I want to say thank you to Furitek and to Mofo RC for making this build possible. I really wouldn't have done this build if it wasn't for them reaching out to me. So Furitek sent me this chassis to do a review. In that time, I asked if it would work with any motor, transmission, whatever, and they had told me yes. The contact that I had there turned out that wasn't fully right, I guess. We ended up making it work, but it really is best probably with the Komodo. I think it's an awesome looking chassis. I think there's a lot of options with it, and it really gives this vehicle a lot of flex and ability that, you know, my other trucks do not have, which is pretty awesome. So let's talk about the parts that we used and the build process. These are the Lucky 12s by Mofo RC on their ultra premium wheels, the UPWs. These are an amazing wheel set. I absolutely just love the look of them. First of all, there are different plates that you can get that go on rings here. He's got multiple different ones, so based on what you like, there's some black ones, there's you know, different design as far as cutouts and all that. But these, coupled with the RC four-wheel drive mudslingers, feel like a pretty good combo on this. I don't run them on other trucks because they're so tall that they just kind of look out of place on my Jeep. So for this build, though, big tires is what it's all about. So that's what we did. All right, let's look around at different parts that we used. So I told Nick from Mofo RC that I was working on this Furitek, and he said, don't build it yet. I'm going to send you some stuff that you can use to build it, show some of the parts that I have. So again, huge shout out to both these companies who I think are really pushing the mini SCX24 element, whatever, the mini side of the hobby forward. So these are the Mofo Tele Shocks. And I've got them at pretty steep angles here. You can see the different layers of how they compress. And actually, I'm at that point fully compressed anyway. But if you do twist, that's where you really see it. So there's lots of extra twist that you get because the shock will keep compressing. So we run these on our monster truck builds. The mini monster trucks, and they work great for that, and I think they work good here. I'm curious about some kind of tether maybe to the front to keep it so that it won't extend all the way and make me want to go over. It'd be great if I could do a center strap so it would only keep it from pulling straight down like that, but it would still allow it to twist at one central point. So I'll be trying to see if I can find something like that to work. So I did have to move the motor plate. I flipped it around so that the motor is now on the opposite side and going to the front of the vehicle. In doing so, there are these little tabs right here that hold the battery tray in. And so it was hitting when I would try to put the motor in either way. It was, you know, the motor would hit it if it was going the other way, or the pinion here. And I wasn't sure what to do. And luckily, Nick watched the video and he said, dude, just remove one of these. You only need 3 anyway. So I have 1, 2, and then I have one up in the front here, right there. And that's what holds this battery tray on. And honestly, the battery tray is kind of just a support for me. As you can see, my ESC isn't even sitting on it. I've got it wedged in there because of the on-off switch, using a double-sided tape to just kind of hold it in place. But it's very lightweight in the rear because of this. Normally that'd be your battery tray and I guess electronics tray with the Komodo spinning up front here, which puts some weight to the back. I don't know how much weight. These batteries don't weigh a ton. So what I've done is, because this lid pops open, if I pull my battery, I can then pop this up like so when I'm putting in and out the battery. And then I've got the tab from the battery tray. This is a stock battery tray right here running in there that I actually used to screw my shocks into as well, because the one thing that you need for shocks, these aren't threaded because it's not enough room for them to get any real threads into this chassis. So you have to put a nut on the other side, or in this case, I used the battery tray so that I could mount it back there. So it's a little bit of a tight, I don't even need a strap to get my battery in. It's a pretty snug fit to get it in there, which is nice. I just keep my balance lead to the side there, and then this top here will pop up and allow me to get in there, do whatever. So that is how I do my battery. You can see the tray a little bit better now in there. I'm running the Torque Beast Mofo RC motor, and I have his metal transmission in there as well, with the metal transmission gears, metal pinion, all of that, and the metal spur gear combo. Up front is the Mofo RC servo with the brass steering links on the front end. And then I'm running the Mofo brass axles. And then I added these Hot Racing brass knuckles. And this has the metal Mofo RC servo horn as well. So just all kinds of Mofo RC parts going on this. I decided to go with the 4-link suspension. Not sure how I feel about that. I might go to the 3. I kind of feel like it's maybe a little bit less. I don't know if that's from the 4-link or what, but I feel like the front's not getting as much. I think this would be better in monster trucks where I don't need the flex. So I'll have to think about that. I mean, it's pretty decent as it is. You get lots of travel with everything here. That servo doesn't hit anything because of where the chassis is. There's really nothing for it to hit, which is really great. What else? Mofo RC links up front. However, in the rear, I went with the deadbolt high clearance, because these actually are the C10 fronts, or the Jeep front. So I get a little bit more stretch forward and I get a lot of stretch to the back. So I kind of mixed the 2 sets, and I didn't want to buy 2 sets of the high clearance. And I didn't want to shorten it to do the high clearance deadbolt one. So I got a lot of stretch with this thing, and eventually I'll buy another set. But you can see the drive shaft lengths, and that's kind of what we worked out to make that work. Mofo RC axle in the rear. But yeah, the biggest things that I had to overcome was getting the motor plate to fit in here, figuring out where the battery was going to go. I didn't really want to ride it on this tray then because of that pinion spinning there. And this tray, literally, I only have the front screws because it sits right on top of the frame of the transmission and keeps it from moving down or whatever at all. But how did it perform? Well, I finally got it out. There was a competition up at, and we'll put this back in here. I have to go this way because the reach is pretty long, so I have to make sure that the battery lead is on the side that it needs to go on. And then I just tuck the balance lead on the side and try my best not to crimp or pinch anything. And then just kind of work it in here like so, and then it drops in. And I just plug it in here on the side and we're good to go. I got my radio here. I just kept it with the stock transmitter, and I used the stock ESC for this. I would like to maybe get like a Tegu or something, but the servo's nice and quick. You can get a good slow crawl. It's not as smooth as the Komodo, that's for sure, but there's lots of power in this torque beast. And I find that I can just kind of bump the throttle a little bit and keep it controlled exactly how I want. But it's just not that same smooth like the FOC system. But overall, for a brush setup, I'm very impressed with it. And this whole chassis has been, like I said, it's been really good to put together. A lot of fun, kind of getting creative with this build and doing it my own way. And making it so that I could use a stock basically transmission and motor if I wanted to, or just an upgraded like the Torque Beast that's in here. So yeah, I mean, people could do this and keep it pretty stock. I would say you would want the longer suspension. You wouldn't want to have the stock suspension, but you know, everybody can do what they want to do. It's just how much more you want to spend in upgrades and all that. But I'm very impressed with it. Got it on the rocks, and I did some things that there's no way I could have done with any of my other SCX24s. The open wheel, for one, helped a lot. The big tires gives it a lot more clearance underneath. You can see how much lift there is from the bottom of the tires up. So a lot more clearance to get over rocks. But these tires also just hook up and they grip, and you just let it work and do its thing. And I was very impressed with how it took the 1/10 scale course up at Reaction RC Hobbies. So first time I drove it, and I ended up walking away with a 3rd place. It's the first time I've actually gotten any in the top 3 of any crawler competition. There was a good group of guys. I think there was about 17 trucks there for it. And it was a first night and last minute kind of thing. So it's cool to see how many people showed up and were up there crawling. So I'll show a little bit of footage here of it running. And yeah, you guys, very impressed. I think the next thing for me to do is put in the Trio Overdrive gear in the front. Oh, that's the other thing I didn't mention is I do have the Mofo RC worm gears in here that are the beefy ones. So his beefy worm gears are in here as well. The suspension, as you can see, the back is very flexible. The front doesn't have the same suspension softness, but it does definitely twist very easily, and that's not a problem with the front, but it doesn't have that same kind of compression to it that the rear does. I think it's the angles and everything going on, but I probably need to mount them up front a little, but I didn't want them too far forward because then it would give it a whole lot more lift. And so when you're going up things, if these shocks dropped back, then it would give it more, it would want to tip over easier. So I tried to keep them so it would shorten that distance a little bit, in that it could drop out, the amount it could drop out, while still allowing it to have lots of flex side to side. So that's the build, guys. Sorry I didn't do like a talking through each step, but I was in a live video for part of it, and then I was doing it in another live video and just recording as a time lapse down on the car. So in trying to get it done, but also having a whole bunch of other things, projects that I was working on, that's what happened. But really, really blown away by this. It changes the micro crawler or mini crawler capabilities for sure. This thing can take on a lot more. And, you know, I think that there's some people that don't give it the mini crowd much of a fair shake because they don't think that they can perform. Well, this would prove them wrong on that. This thing goes out there and it performs really well, and you don't need a big area to run it. You can see my messy studio right now, but that's all you really need. That's all my testing stuff. That's where I'd only run it, was on this track, and it was too easy for this. that course has a technical part that's hard for my normal trucks, but this just kind of went up and over it no problem because of the clearances that it has and the long stretch as well. It just pulled its way up. So overdrive gears in the front to help with the steering because it is a little bit longer, and it'll be awesome. I would do rear steer, but a lot of comps don't allow it. So I can still get away with putting in this in competitions, and the second you start doing things like rear steer, it goes to another level of mod. So I'm going to keep it as it is for now, and maybe do that later for fun. Anyway, thanks for tuning in. As always, guys, have fun RCing. Catch you next time.